What's going on, everybody? So I'm back today to do another review, and I'm excited because as of lately I've been able to watch a lot more films finishing up school. So I've been able to go through a lot more films lately and watch a lot of newer material and material I needed to get caught up on from last year, and it's been really great. So I've got a variety of content that I'm going to be releasing here soon. The first thing I want to talk about is a new Shudder released horror film. I've talked to you guys about it a million times at this point. I love Shudder. I have a lot of fun watching their content, even when I would say that it's not like the most top tier of quality, which we may talk about in this video in particular. The movie I'll be talking about today is The Cellar. The Cellar is directed by Brendan Muldowney. When Keira Woods' daughter mysteriously vanishes in the cellar of their new house in the country, she soon discovers there is an ancient and powerful entity controlling their home that she will have to face or risk losing her family's souls forever. I saw a poster for this on Shudder. I saw some reviews on it that were not very nice to the film in general, very mean spirited. A couple that made me laugh pretty hard. But I figured I would give this a try. And the first reason I gave this a shot was I saw Elisha Cuthbert on the poster, who I felt like I hadn't seen in a movie since like 2006 or 7. And I was right, she took a very long leave of absence from acting. I will say about this film, because as I've said before, as someone who appreciates filmmaking, understands the difficulty that is crafting a feature film, I don't like to spend a whole lot of time just shitting on something unless you can clearly tell that it was mean spirited or awful or terrible. Try to be positive even when a movie's not great. I think the best part of this film is Elisha Cuthbert. I think she really gives good performance. There's a couple moments where the dialogue she delivers comes across as very cheesy. The actors and actresses that play her family members, her husband and her daughter and her son, are not the highest quality of actors. Not to say they're terrible. They are believable for the most part, but I would say that the performance from Elisha Cuthbert is probably the strongest element of this film. Aside from that, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about this movie. It has a unique premise in a way where the film kind of goes, but unfortunately, it's so boring and very poorly paced, and then like lame executed jump scares throughout that just make this movie feel like your traditional haunting demon possession movie that like films like Insidious did so much better and were so much more fast paced and in your face, where this movie just like you'll have that build up moment where you know you're going to get scared and then nothing happens and it just keeps going, and then finally there is a jump scare moment. It's just so lame. You're like, okay. And then it's more time just kind of this slow burn building up this family. But it's not even really like the dynamic. It's more about this strange set of circumstances that's causing the house to be haunted, which is actually the most fascinating part of the film. So you have Elisha Cuthbert and her husband who work for this social media company, and they've moved into this grandiose manor essentially that they've got for dirt cheap, which in any horror film, if you're a horror fanatic, you know you get a house that big for dirt cheap, something's wrong with it. And there's all these like pieces of geometry throughout. They go into the cellar of their house and there's like this mathematical equation scratched out on the floor. The cellar of the house is super creepy. And you have the angsty teenage daughter who's upset about everything, so much so that she has an anarchy tattoo on her on her ankle, which I thought was pretty priceless. You have the traditional, she's rebelling against her family, she's upset because she was uprooted from her friends, and then they have the son who's kind of just nonchalant, indifferent about everything. They leave to go to a meeting really late the first night that they're there. They're in the house, weird shit starts happening. The power goes out in the house, so the daughter calls her mother, and the mother answers, and she's in this business meeting. She acts a little irritated, and she says, just go in the basement, you're grown, go down there and flip the circuit breaker. And so she's like, it's only 10 steps or whatever to get down the stairs. So she's like, we'll count it out together and you go down. And so they start counting, and she says 1, 2, 3, and then she goes all the way down, and when she gets to 10, when she should be at the bottom, she keeps counting, and she gets to like 40 something, and then like it's camera cuts to Elisha Cuthbert like, oh my god. She keeps going, so they run back to the house, and her daughter is gone. And then weird shit starts to happen throughout the house. She starts to see things, her son sees things. Her husband is the typical horror movie husband, which I never really understand in these films. Like, when you have the stereotypical horror movie trope where, like, you have this husband and wife couple who seemingly have a good relationship, and the wife goes, honey, something really strange is going on here. This isn't normal. And they're like, you're just out of your mind. Nothing's wrong. And it's like, why not believe your significant other? It always bugs me. That trope in film pisses me off, because it's like, if your loved one says something's going on, you would at least be inquisitive enough to try to figure out what the fuck is happening. And that always bugs me. And then obviously in the third act, it's always the switch. So that's the base level premise of the film. And like I said, you have these lame, cheapo jump scares thrown in. And now I'm going to talk about the spoiler of the film. If you care, I'll put a time code in here to where you could skip ahead to the end. I'm going to get into it now. The whole thing of the film is that this house was owned by a famous mathematician who engraved all this stuff in the house and essentially learned about sacred geometry or something, where he could contact Baphomet and find an entryway portal to hell, essentially. This accidental thing by the daughter opened up this home to being a portal to hell. And so the rest of the movie is Elisha Cuthbert trying to figure out how she can get to hell to save her daughter. She does get down there, but then you have this typical end of the film trope where it's like, oh my God, they're trapped forever. Am I surprised? And yeah, it was disappointing because of that. I feel like it had an interesting enough premise with this whole mathematical take. It was just so bland throughout the runtime, and most of what was happening on screen didn't keep me interested enough. The cinematography was relatively standard. There wasn't any shot in particular that I was really interested in, which is a bummer. The third act has this really cool sequence when they do get into like the hell area with all these people walking in a straight line counting, which I thought was a cool visual, but the movie just isn't warranted enough for you to care at that point. That's all I have to say about The Cellar. It's not very good. I would not recommend watching it unless you're really, really bored and you really feel like you need to formulate an opinion on this movie yourself. It's definitely not worth your time. So have you seen The Cellar? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was pretty bland, unfortunately. And despite having a relatively unique premise, it just fell short for me. As always, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always looking to put out new content. Like I've said in previous videos, I like jumping genres. I like talking about different formats. I've been doing the Criterion Corner, which I've had a lot of fun with. I've had some new subscribers jump on recently, so welcome. Thank you for watching the videos. I really have fun engaging with you all as the audience and hearing your opinions about these movies. It's my favorite part of running the channel. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.